Hello and welcome to the Southwest Non-League Show with me, Kieran. So the league season is finally closing in on us and the final pre-season is being played and the final licks of paint being applied to grounds up and down the region in preparation for the big kick-off. So welcome to the pre-season previews, and in each episode I'll be doing a different league for you. So this is going to be spread across a couple of different episodes just to get the most out of each one and so you're not sat there for too long listening. So coming up in this week's episode is the Hellenic Leagues and the Western Leagues. Hello and a very warm welcome to you all to the first preview of the season ahead. So as I said, we are doing the Western and Hellenic Leagues in this episode. But first things first, before we get into the episode, I want to share, I did a poll last week on what your favourite types of goal were. So just a little bit of fun, to see what people came back with. So the favourite type of goal, the options were headers, long-range screamers, tap-ins, or overhead kick type, flare type things, cocky things. The overwhelming winner was long-range screamer. Just behind it, which I was surprised at, was a header. West Country Football, at West Country Football on FB on Twitter, said that, and I agree with this, the silence between the ball making contact with the boot and hitting the back of the net. Now, I love that sound of the guy hitting it off his boot, and then the sound of the net going at any time is brilliant, but you normally can hear it from long and stream because everyone's gone silent, like, no, he's not done that, has he? He's tried it, he's got it in. And I think the silence is only second best thing to your baby sleeping at night. And the sound of the hits in the net is probably the next best thing from hearing your baby cry. Maybe even better, who knows. Hearing your baby cry for the first time, not every time, because that gets a bit draining. And then you sort of enjoy the silence more after that first time. So we're going to preview the leagues in this one. And do a little bit. I've also got to say, while I do hope no club is offended, I've got to try and put people somewhere. It's the name of the game here. I will, of course, still be visiting you, as many of you as I can in both the Hellenic and Western Leagues, and giving teams all further coverage and support. This is tough, though. This is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Write a pre-season preview, they say. It's genuinely not as easy as it looks. I'm also going to try and do this podcast in one take, because I've been writing this script, or not script, but writing my notes and writing my research and researching the leagues and doing lots of bits and bobs on this since last Monday. So a lot of planning's gone into this episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. So let's talk a bit about the leagues. Both the Hellenic and Western Leagues operate leagues at steps 5 and 6 mainly, which if you're promoted from the Premier Division of either of these ones, you go to steps 4, which in most cases would be the Southern, for our Southwest teams, would be the Southern League, Division 1, or an extreme case, the Ithman League, or in a real extreme case, I suppose, but not impossible, the Northern Leagues, because you never know of these FA selectors these days. But no, the Southern League Division 1 would be the likely destination for most teams winning the Premier Divisions out of this one. Teams from both leagues can enter the FA Cup, and that's subject to acceptance, of course, like normal. They can also enter the FA Vase. The leagues also run their own cup competitions, but we'll go into that when talking about each league in a little bit more detail. Not great though, because we're not about cups. We'll do cup previews as and when they come. So, promotion this season. Well, they like to make it easy, don't they? In Division 1, the top 4 clubs will be promoted to Step 5, and this is for both leagues as well. So in Division 1 in both leagues, the top 4 clubs will be promoted to Step 5, subject to ground regulations and whatnot. And the bottom 2 are liable to relegation to Step 7. So not guaranteed, but it could happen depending on what teams come up and whatnot. So that's the same for both leagues. That sounds simple enough, right? If I have my understanding of it, then yeah, brilliant. It sounds really simple. So here we go. Here's the slightly more complicated bit. Thanks, FA. So this season, this is for the Premier Division in each one. The champions will be promoted to Step 4 like normal, subject to the ground clearance and all that, and that the small print, we won't go to that. But the runners-up in each division and 10 other Step 5 divisions in other leagues will be ranked according to points per game. And the top 4 in that ranking will also be promoted. The remaining 7 runners-up will compete in winner-takes-all playoffs, with 7 clubs finishing bottom in the Step 4 leagues. The winners being placed at Step 4 and the losers being placed at Step 5 for 2020-21 season, so for next season. The bottom clubs in all 14 Step 5 divisions will be ranked according to points per game, and the 12 lowest ranked clubs will be relegated to Step 6. Yeah, so, and then in Division 1, this is the official FA, but in Division 1, the top 4 clubs will be promoted to Step 5, and then the bottom 2 are liable to relegation Step 7. So, basically, yeah, that's going to be the same for both leagues, and we'll probably go into that more towards the end of the season. But let's maybe talk about the leagues now separately, as they're both charming and both very different and very unique. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Hellenic League. So let's start with this. So the Hellenic League was founded in 1953. It contains 3 divisions filled with teams from Berkshire, Gloucestershire, Oxfordshire, Southern Buckinghamshire, Southern Herefordshire, Northern Wiltshire, and there is 1 team each from Hampshire and Northamptonshire. The league is currently sponsored by UHL Sport. So, all of the selections of teams moved laterally by the FA in recent years have raised some eyebrows in these divisions due to their location, other teams being located nearby by, say, in the other system, but let's not get into that, eh? So, the divisions, and I should say, isn't the league that decides, it is the FA. Not having a look at the league, that was just, Almondsbury will understand. So, the divisions are the Premier Division and 2 regional first divisions, the East, and the one we'll be focusing on, of course, at the 2 of the West. They do also have Division 2 West, 2 South, and 2 North at Step 7. Looking at 2 West, it's mainly filled with development teams this year. So, and I said we're not really going down to the Step 7. So, and they do run Vets leagues as well. They run Vets leagues as well. In the leagues we'll be covering mainly, they contain 19 in the Premier Division, 16 in the Division 1 West, and 18 in the East. But we're not really talking about them because they're not in our region, so go away. So the current holders for each league are, as we're talking about them, Premier is Wantage Town. In the Division 1 West is Eastington Sports. And in the Division 1 East, why not, is Burnham. No, not that one. These are ones from Buckinghamshire area, not on sea. They haven't got any sea near them. So the cup competitions, and there's a few that the Hellenic League, nearly swear, sorry. The Hellenic League run, and they are the Challenge Cup, the Supplementary Cup, Floodlit Challenge Cup, Premier Division Benevolent Challenge Cup, Division 1 Benevolent Challenge Cup. That's that. Okay, so in the Premier Division, the representatives from the Southwest are Fairford, Royal Wootton Bassett, Long Elevens, Shrivenham, Tuffley Rovers, Bishop's Cleeve, Lydney Town, and Briscombe and Thrupp. And now I'm going to repeat all those where they finished last season. So in the Premier Division, from the bottom up, Tuffley Rovers finished 16th. Long Elevens finished 15th. Fairford finished 13th. Lydney Town finished 11th. Royal Wootton Bassett finished 10th. Shrivenham finished 5th. Bishop's Cleeve finished 4th. And Briscombe and Thrupp came runners-up in 2nd. So let's talk about the Premier Division in a bit more detail for the season ahead. So the remaining changes to the division this year is Burnham joined the league. They were promoted from the Division 1 East, obviously, as they won it. Eastington Sports, who won the Division 1 West. And one that you might not know about is a team called Westfields. They transferred from the Midland League. So the season ahead. The Premier Division has a good amount of Southwest representatives in it, and looking at the league finishes last season, it looks like it could be a very successful one for many of these sides. It is, of course, a very competitive league, with everyone vying for that golden ticket to the Southern League. This year, with the possibility of 2 going up, most clubs will be going for it and fancy their chances, as it is a unique opportunity for 2 going up. Promotion to the Southern League or any higher league, of course, can change a lot for a club, and with only the one guaranteed spot, the race for the league title will be hotter than ever. Out of the southern teams then, southwestern teams, I think Fairford would improve on their finish last season, albeit by a small margin, just a few places. I can't see them on paper fighting for promotion, but I don't think there'll be any trouble down the bottom. And while it certainly wasn't the worst season, they'll be hoping for a little bit better this term. I think Royal Wootton Bassett could really be a surprise package this season, and could be up there, judging by their pre-season, but you can't judge anything off of pre-season. But I do think top half would be a realistic target for Bassett this term, and you never know what could happen if you aim for that. Shrivenham will be hoping to emulate last season's top 5 finish. But I think to repeat that, or go for a higher finish, they'll certainly need to tighten up at the back. With only a +4 goal difference last season, and with the most goals conceded and losing the most out of the top 8, I think the worst case for them, though, they'll finish mid-table. But they also do need to improve their firepower in front of goal. They didn't score particularly loads last season. With a leaky defence, isn't always great, and they did maybe draw a few too many games. I think at worst they'll finish mid-table, but I think maybe they will be able to get a higher finish if they can tighten up at the back and score a few more goals. Bishop's Cleeve and Briscombe are my favourites for finishing in the top this season, as they had great finishes last season, and I think certainly highest out the southwestern teams in the league. I think Bishop's Cleeve will finish highest and could very well end up league champions this season. Lyttonham Town, I think they'll be in for much the same this season as they were last season, expecting a comfortable mid-table showing from them this term again. Tuffley will be hoping for a much improved season, and they won't want to get caught in any battle at the bottom. I think they'll survive comfortably again though. Long Levens, much like Tuffley, will be hoping to be a bit further away from the bottom this time, only a place separating them last time round, and hoping to improve and not get dragged into any possible relegation battle. I think they'll also manage a decent season and will be comfortable. I won't be making any predictions, as I'm not too sure on how the other sides will do in the league, as haven't really researched them, don't have a lot to do with them. I've not been keeping up with them during pre-season of the other sides, sort of that have come in from the east or that aren't really in the southwest region, so it would be a little bit unfair. Mainly on me, because it could make me look stupid, as I could be way off because I really don't know what the other teams are up to. So, Saturday the 3rd of August, an opening weekend for the Hellenic League Premier. And here are the fixtures for our southwest sides. So, Ardley United host Bishop's Cleeve. Briscombe and Thrupp are hosting Binfield. Fairford Town travel to Burnham, the one in Buckinghamshire, not on sea. Not their official name, by the way. Longer Levens also hit the road, and they're going to Eastington Sports, last year's Division 1 West champions. Lyttonham Town also on the road and going to Flackwell Heath. Guess what? Royal and Bassett Town are on the road. They're off to Holmer Green. Shrivenham are off to Reading City, so they're on the road as well. And Tuffley Rovers are also on the road, and they're heading to Virginia Water. All games at the moment, as far as I know, are 3 o'clock kickoffs. If there are any changes to that, I will update you in due course. And if you have missed them and they've gone too fast, I might go back over them towards the end. So, on to the Division 1 West in the Hellenic League. So, this one is a very tough league to predict every year. It's got a real mix of teams who have either come up from Step 7, teams that have been in the division, or laterally across in the same step for a number of years, and of course sides coming down from either the Hellenic Premier Division or Wessex Premier Divisions. Sorry, Western, not Wessex. Excuse me on that one. Sometimes Wessex, actually, they get moved laterally across, whatnot. Anyway, last season was a very interesting one in this division, so there were some freak scorelines, but some very competitive games too. There are also 2 teams who folded sadly last year down in this division, which is a real shame. Various for both reasons. A lot of financial reasons, obviously, why a team fold, and hopefully we won't see more of that this season. So this one becomes even more interesting this season because you add in the 4 spots this season that are up for grabs for promotion, which in this case is 25% of the league. So a lot of clubs will fancy their chance this season. I think we'll see a lot of clubs go at it very early on because it's a great opportunity to go up compared to the usual 1 spot there is. And also, if possibly 2 going down, no one wants to be in those spots or down that way come the end of the season. So, there are some new boys in the division this term. Shortwood come into the division following relegation from the Western Premier. Morton Rangers were promoted from the Division 2 West. Stonehouse Town also promoted from the Gloucestershire County League. And Bourton were also promoted from the Division 2 West. There are a few transfers as well from lateral divisions across. Wellington, Hereford Lads Club, Morventown and Pegas Hereford, all from the West Midlands League, joined the Hellenic this year. So that does make for some interesting travelling distance for a lot of sides concerned this season, particularly the southwest ones. So our representatives in this division from the southwest are Tytherington Rocks, Cheltenham Saracens, Shortwood United, Cirencester Town Development, New College, Thornbury Town, Malmesbury Victoria and Newent Town. So, where did they finish last year? So, in this one, we'll go from the bottom up as well. New College finished 12th, rock bottom last year. Tytherington finished just above them in 11th. Newent Town finished in 9th. Cirencester Town Development finished in 8th. Malmesbury Victoria finished in 4th. Thornbury Town finished in 3rd, and just missing out on the league title, Cheltenham Saracens finished in 2nd. And finishing above all of them, of course, in the Western League Premier Division, there was Shortwood United. So they were relegated from there last year, so they'll be certainly hoping to hit the ground running this year. So let's move on to the sort of season preview. And this league is a very hard one to predict every year, and I don't think this year will be any different. And I think with a lot of clubs going for that top 4 this year as well, it's going to be very interesting. I think for me, Short would have to be down as favourites for the league title. Used to play in a high division, maybe got a slightly higher budget. I'm not sure on the finances of each club, so I'm not going to go on that. But for me, I think Short would maybe the favourites for the league title. Malmesbury, Cheltenham and Thornbury will certainly heap the pressure on following good seasons last time round, and be certainly hoping to finish at least in the top 4 again this year to get that promotion to the Hellenic Premier Division. Titherington, they'll be hoping for a much improved showing this season after various difficulties last season. It'll take a lot for them to finish much higher than their 11th place last year, but I think they'll certainly pick up a few more wins this season after only the one last season. New College from Swindon are going to struggle again this season, I think. They'll likely have a much different squad due to the nature of their side being very young and inexperienced. I think they'll be in for much of the same as they were last season, but hopefully they may pick up more than one win this season. And they do face a tough opening day against Malmesbury as well. And I think the nature of New College, they'll have some lads that obviously were in like the first year of college last year and won't have left and still be able to play for the side this year. They'll have a great deal of their squad that may have left college and won't be eligible to play for them this year. Which maybe is a shame. So there will be some experience in there, but they obviously have quite a lot of new lads, and whether how they gel. And I think the idea of that squad is more to have it as a first taste of Saturday football. There's a lot of questions raised whether they should really be in that division. Maybe the two West may have been a better option for them. Maybe counties leagues and whatnot. But they may improve. They may have gone back to the drawing board, and they know, and the managers and coaches know what they're going to face this season. So they'll be interested to see how they get on. But I think they're going to be sort of definitely down towards the bottom 2, unfortunately for them. I think the newly promoted sides, Stonehouse and Bolton sides, they'll be really excited to make the step up. But as with any newly promoted side, it will be done by the start they make. If they can hit the ground running and get some confidence in the ranks, they could have a very good seasons and use the momentum of promotions last year. Realistically, they'll be looking to finish mid-table and be happy with this. They'll just be happy to sort of not be in any contention for relegation. But they do feel the risk from this. But I do think they will be safe from the bottom, though. But then again, football's a fickle thing, and it can really, really turn. So let's have a look at the opening weekend fixtures for the Hellenic League, Division 1 West. And there are some cup games on the opening weekend, the Hellenic League cup competitions, because of the few teams that are in the league. But I'm not going to go into those sort of just yet. I'll just literally do league fixtures for Saturday the 3rd of August. So for Saturday the 3rd of August, Cheltenham Saracens are hosting Titherington Rocks. Stonehouse Town travel to Clanfield 85 for their first match in the division. Malmesbury Victoria host New College Swindon. Newent Town host Hereford Pegas. Shortwood United host Hereford Lads Club. And Wellington host Bolton Rovers. So that's the opening fixtures for that weekend. There is one cup fixture, the BSCC, and that's Thornbury Town travelling to Adderbury Park. So I'll go into the fixtures across for each division, the following week's fixtures, sort of in the review of the opening weekend and stuff like that. But for now, we'll move on to the Toolstation Western League. So, the Toolstation Western League is a football league in southwest England, covering Bristol, Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, Western Dorset, parts of Gloucestershire and Wiltshire. The league's current main sponsor is Toolstation, so that's why it's known as the Toolstation Western League. The league was founded in 1892, 127 years ago, and it's the feeder to the Southern League Division 1 South. Domestic cups for this one is the Les Phillips Cup. There is only the one league cup in this league setup. And if you're relegated from this division, you are relegated to either the Dorset Premier League, Gloucestershire County League, Somerset County League, Wiltshire League, or if you're a South-Western team, the South West Peninsular League, but that you're only relegated from and promoted to the Premier Division. They don't play in Division 1. So let's have a look at how the division's set up. So the Western League, they run two divisions, the Premier and the First Division. The Premier Division is made up of 21 sides, and the First Division is made up of 20 sides. As with the name in the Western League, they are all in the South West, so we're here for all of them in this one. So let's start. With the Premier Division, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Let's start with the Premier Division. It's a tough division every year, and this year, no doubt, will be the same. As with the Hellenic, with still only the one guaranteed promotion spot, but second place will be fiercely contested as well because of the chance you may get to go up in the points per game and whatnot. Also, at the other end with the Hellenic, no one wants to possibly face the drop out of the division, so there will be a fierce scrap near the bottom as well. There have been a lot of new faces coming to the clubs, and many adding some great quality. Let's have a look at last year's places to start us off then from the teams that remain from last season. So in this one, because of the way I've got it written down, we'll go from top to bottom. So Plymouth Parkway finished runners-up in second. In third place was Bitton. Fourth place, Bridgewater Town. Fifth place, Westbury United. Sixth place, Clevedon Town. Seventh was Bradford Town. Eighth was Cribbs FC. Ninth was Buckland Athletic. 10th, Chipping Sodbury Town. 11th, Shepton Mallet. 12th, Hallen. 13th, Bridport. 14th, Cadbury Heath. 15th, Odddown. 16th, Wellington. 17th, Roman Glass St George. And 18th, Brislington. So they're the sides that remain. So the new sides in the division this year. So coming down from the Southern League Division 1 are Street FC. Promoted from the First Division were Keynsham. And coming from the South West Peninsula League are Tavistock and Exmouth. So we've got our teams for this season in the Premier Division of the Western League. So, I think the top three were made up of Bitton, Bridgewater and Plymouth Parkway. Going out there and saying that'll be the top three. Shoot me if it's not right at the end of the season. I certainly wouldn't write off some of the new boys, Tavistock and Exmouth, who will certainly be hoping to challenge up there, and they'll be carrying momentum from last season as well, and I could expect them to be right up there. Street will also be up there, looking to bounce back at the first time of asking, but it'll be no easy task in the Western League, especially after rebuilding that goes into any side after relegation and sort of the post-mortem of the season, trying to work out what was wrong and improve on that. But I think they'll have enough about them to finish in a respectable top half finish. I certainly wouldn't also write off Westbury, Bradford and Clevedon though for challenging in the top 5 of the table again, and they'll certainly keep the pressure on all the way. I'd also like to say the same for Cribbs and Buckland, who weren't far off the top 6 last season and will certainly be looking to build on the 8th and 9th finishes respectively. Other teams will be wary of them as they weren't far off the top 6 last season, but certainly wouldn't expect them to finish any lower than mid-table. One or both of them could certainly end up in the top 6. All of those sides shouldn't take a top 8 finish for granted though and be complacent, as there are many teams who will look to jump into their grave. So some sides I think that could be sort of looking to break into that top half or finish the top end of the bottom half are Odddown, Hallen, Roman Glass St George and Shepton Mallet. I think they'll challenge to get into the top half, but I feel some of them could just be behind the rest. But to write any of them off from a top half finish would be foolish at this stage. Hallen weren't far off last year, and with the additions they've made, they'll certainly be hoping to break into at least the top 8, but still just a bit far behind, I think, getting into those sort of promotion chases. Roman Glass will really want to finish much higher than they did last year, too low for their liking. I think it will take a lot for them to finish in the top half, but the additions made there as well, I think they'll have something about them and shouldn't be underestimated, which may swing in their favour as well. At the start of the season, due to their lowly finish last year, teams may underestimate them and think they're going to be an easy win or a pushover, and that may help them get off to a good start and build momentum for the rest of the season. The bottom half, though, is so tight, and any side could consump sides if they aren't careful, and that really does go for any side. A couple of bad results, and you'll slip down that table like a stripper on a pole on payday. And any of those sides on the cusp of mid-table or hoping to have a much better season could, if they don't get off to a good start or endure a really bad run early on, could easily get dragged into a fight nearer the bottom. All need to be complacent in their quest for better finishes. Cadbury and Wellington will look to improve on last season, but they'll be wary of how different it could be if they have a bad run early on or during mid-season. Which, obviously, you can endure bad runs, but you don't want to have too many, and especially in their position. While I don't think relegation is a serious threat for them, I think it's still in the rearview mirror and should be taken with caution. Another side that should be looking at that will be Chipping Sodbury. They'll obviously be looking to improve this season, but they've had a tough pre-season and a lot of uncertainty, with possibly being moved into the Hellenic League, then having that reversed before their managers resigned partway through this month. So it's not been the ideal pre-season for the Sods. I think they'll have to be on top form to improve on their finish last season, but will need to be very wary of any further disruption or a bad start, which could see them dragged into a relegation battle. A real danger, but they should have enough about them to end up comfortable in the league. New boys, Keynsham, I think it'll be tough. Being new boys, but I think they'll be looking to have a steady season and stay in the division. That'll be their realistic aims this year. I think they'll be fighting it nearer the bottom this season, though. Bridport and Brislington are tipped by many to go down. They'll both be hopeful this isn't the case. Bridport had a respectable finish last year, and certainly will be hoping to emulate that this term. I think they'll be in a bit of a dogfight down the bottom. They'll hope they can beat the drop and believe, thank you, but this season could be a bridge too far for them. Another side that are in danger of a drop are Brislington. They finished just above the drop zone last season and have been around the bottom four for a couple of seasons now. I think they'll have a job on their hands to survive, but they know how to do it. They'll certainly be hoping for the mid-table finish of only 3 years ago, but it's going to be a tough season for the Foxes. They'll be hopeful that's not the case, though, and I do wish luck to every team in that division. So let's move on to the first division of the Western League. So the Western League have welcomed Almondsbury back after their slight exile in the Hellenic League. Despite a team across the road remaining in the Western system, although a league above which does affect things of course, there were other clubs who could have been better placed to be moved across laterally. But of course there's lots more to it, and we won't go into that, and it's the FA, well what can we say, and we don't, who makes these decisions, you know. Also a new side in the division, Lebec United. They were the lucky side promoted from the Gloucestershire County League, and Hengrove were unfortunately the unlucky team to be relegated from the Premier Division. But where did the rest finish, though? So Cheddar finished second, Corsham Town finished in third, Ashton and Backwell United finished in fourth, fifth was Longwell Green Sports, sixth was Warminster Town, eighth was Carn Town, ninth was Welton Rovers, 10th was Wells City, 11th was Devizes Town, 12th was Bishop's Leard, Sherborne Town finished in 13th, Wincanton in 14th, Radstock Town in 15th, Portishead Town in 16th, Bishop's Sutton in 17th, Oldland in 18th, and 20th was Bristol Telephones. So this is going to be a tough division as well this season. With the top four going up, they'll all fancy their chances to get up into the first division. But promotion-wise, I think it'll be between Cheddar, Warminster and Longwell Green for the top three this year. Outside chances for the title are by no means written off are Carn, Corsham and Wells. Out of those 6, I think 2 will be disappointed, but I think out of them we'll also have the top 4 promoted sides. Ashton and Backwell could also be up there. Hengrove, if they can hit the ground running, could be in with a chance, as could Welton, Oldland and Devizes. Radstock could be in for a good season, I think, this season. I think challenging promotion spots may just be out of reach for them, though, this term. I think they'll have a comfortable mid-table season. Wincanton, Bishop's Leard and Sherborne will sort of have mid-table, lower half finishes, but could be wary of a relegation battle. Bishop Sutton and Portishead and Almondsbury will be down the lower end of the sort of table. I think they may be involved in a battle of the bottom initially, and maybe for most of the season, but I think while they all should beat the bottom drop, they can't afford to be complacent, really. But I think they'll all be comfortable, and I think it will look like they could possibly get dragged into it, and towards the end of the season they'll sort of drag away. Unfortunately, I think Bristol Telephones will end up in the thick of a battle to keep out of the bottom 2, and with relegation a real threat, they'll have an uphill battle. It's by no means a done deal, though. Teams could underestimate them, which could play to their advantage, and if they get a good start, who knows what could happen. The first 10 games are vital for them this season. I think Lebec will also be dragged into a battle down the bottom here, and going back down is a serious threat to them. Newly promoted, they need to adjust to the league quickly and hit the ground running. I fear if not, they could be in for a long season. First 5 games for them are crucial. So let's have a look at the opening weekend fixtures for both the Western League Premier and the First Division, as I forgot to do it with the Premier initially. So for the Premier Division, Bradford Town will play Keynsham Town, Brislington host Bridwater Town, Buckland Athletic host Westbury United, Clevedon Town host Tavistock, Cribbs host Chipping Sodbury Town, Exmouth Town host Bridport, Hallen host Bitton, Plymouth Parkway host Cadbury Heath, Roman Glass St George host Odd Down, in brackets Bath, in case you needed. And Shepton Mallet and Street kick off in a local derby down there. All those games are 3 o'clock kickoffs. So in the First Division, the opening weekend fixtures for Saturday the 3rd of August are Almondsbury, they'll host Longwell Green Sports, Bishop's Sutton host Lebec United, Bristol Telephones host Oldland, Carn Town host Radstock Town, Cheddar host Devizes Town, Corsham Town host Portishead Town, Hengrove Athletic host Bishop's Leard, Sherborne Town host Wales City. Warminster Town host Welton Rovers. Wincanton Town host Ashton and Backwell United. And you've guessed it, they're all 3 o'clock kickoffs. Of course, if I hear any different, I will let you know, but I don't think they'll change now, hopefully. And hopefully the referees have been told what games they're going to now as well. Don't know whose fault that is. We're not in the blame game here though. So that brings us to the end of this this first pre-season preview. Very rough, and I hope it's gone okay. I trip over myself, and I've tried to do it all in one take just because the amount of time it's taken me to write up all the preview, and it's taken me a lot less time to talk about it. As always, please follow us on Twitter. We've got a competition at the moment as well, and the competition is to win a big glass, so please come and retweet that. We've also got a fantasy football league. I'll put the details there on Twitter and Facebook. And however you're listening, please on that platform, rate, subscribe, leave a review, and we'll be back next week. We'll be back on the 1st of August because I'll have a little short National League preview for the National League North and South. And then the following week we'll be going into the sort of Southern League and South West Peninsula League previews. FA Cup previews is a busy old week that week. I do have to say a thanks to fans of the Toolstation League for retweeting me. Everyone go and follow them for retweeting me, and their sort of league predictions with people getting talking have helped form some of this chat for me on the Western League. So that's been really helpful. I hope to see you again for the National League preview, and we'll be reviewing these fixtures next. I'll record it on Sunday and have it out for you next Monday. Have a great weekend. Good luck to all the teams that are opening things, and we'll see you on the other side.